Hello and welcome to PR Today, the podcast all about public relations. I'm Paul Nixey.
And I'm Kylie McMullan. Welcome. Today on PR Today, we have a very special back-to-school segment. It's the fall. Students are going back to class, and a lot of students are very interested in doing classes on public relations.
People are going back to PR.
Yeah, so I teach a class at SFU. It starts soon, and Paul is actually often a guest speaker in my class. We wanted to share with you today, why you might be interested in a career in public relations, or at least checking out a class in it.
Mm-hmm. I'm always amazed when I go to your classes at SFU, the diversity of the folks in the room, people who have graduated high school and are looking to start their careers, people who are mid-career and are looking for a change, and then people who are journalists and
a lot of former journalists are in my
people.
class. Yeah, for sure.
The composition's always amazing to me.
Yeah, and a lot of people with very different skill sets. Some people are very interested in social media and come in with a background on that and are just looking for how to kind of monitorize that through public relations training. Other people, great writers, like you said, a journalism background, looking for a shift in careers, or weren't happy where they were working,
or got downsized.
As we know,
the media landscape is changing, all across North America, well, all across the world for journalists, and PR is a great landing spot for these folks.
For sure. And then also a lot of people actually are sent to my class from their companies, so they might be taking on a more dual role or increase in scope of their role that includes a communications function or a media relations kind of scope, and so they're coming just to learn the basic tricks and tools so that they know how to either manage an agency or do a little bit of communications themselves.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what is it about your class that, what draws you to instruct at SFU for this continuing studies PR program?
So I personally love teaching. It's something that I take very seriously because, so many people help me with my career, and I think it's really important to give back to the profession, whether that be in a teaching role or a mentoring role. I always try to make time for, information interviews, or if someone's looking for a mentoring relationship, because I think, it's our duty as more established practitioners to kind of pay it forward. And then I also like the energy of the classroom. So, sometimes I think we forget how lucky we are to do what we do. You kind of get caught in the daily grind and the monotony and some of the less unglamorous aspects of the profession. But when you go and teach to a room full of people who want to do what you do and they think every story is interesting and amazing, you kind of start to feel a little bit, oh, I guess I am lucky.
Yeah, I get to do this every day.
I love this, and I get paid for this.
Dream job.
So that's why I love it. How about you? Why do you like coming to teach or talk to my class?
I like to go and for a couple of reasons. One, it's great to be able to pay forward the knowledge and things that people have invested in me, and but I somewhat selfishly have also used it as a recruiting tool. I've hired people out of your class to work at my firm. But also, I've always found it to be a really good way to get your finger on the pulse of where people are at in the PR world. It was 3 years ago when I started coming to do a guest lecture in this program, and I used to have a slide in my deck that said, social media is not the be-all, end-all. It's not going to be your full-time job, most likely. Most companies only have one position. And today, that's just not true. It's now social media is everywhere. So watching these trends evolve, not that social media is a trend, but watching these things that impact our profession evolve over time is fascinating to me, and I learn a lot from the students.
So, in terms of if a student asked you, why would I want to go into public relations, or why not, what would you tell them?
Public relations is all about content, and content is the future of the world, I think, in the media landscape.
Content is king.
Content is king. It doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're doing a marketing function, a communications role, strict public relations, when you're just pitching a product or an idea or a service or whatever. It's all about producing content, and this is where it's going. This is where the future lies. So.
And the world is so hungry for it. We can literally not produce enough content fast enough to feed the kind of beast.
I was on BuzzFeed today for reading an article, and then the time that I read an article, 3 more popped up at the top.
It's crazy.
Right. These are just, and whether they're original BuzzFeed articles or whether they're aggregates or other stories, people are just hungry for new content, whether it's here's a picture of a cat wearing a hat, here's a picture of something happening in a very serious news event, all mixed up together. But there's just so much demand for content, for good quality content, that this public relations is where it all happens.
Yeah, and even like on YouTube, in terms of like short form videos and long term videos, I'm not sure that people in the future are gonna like really differentiate between something that's a professionally produced television show and something that like some kid did in their basement that's really funny.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So Katie Couric, we're coming for you. You watch.
Yeah.
Finally, what's some of the basic questions you get maybe on the first day of school? What are some of the things your students ask?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of people are often, I would say that my average student comes in and they have either a bachelor degree or a master's degree, and they're looking to, they felt like, they did it in English lit, and they they don't really know what kind of job they would do with that, and so they want to get a very formal training in a very specific area in order to try to get a job in an industry that they think is exciting and dynamic. So, I mean, a lot of my students come in with some misconceptions about public relations. A lot of people think it's all Sex in the City all the time.
You mean it's not?
Yeah, I know, weird, right?
So weird.
Why aren't we drinking champagne right now?
Well, we are. That's true.
But so they kind of see parties and glamorousness and exciting clients and kind of jet setting around. And unfortunately for most of us, that's just not true. It's like 90% grunt work, 10% glamour.
Yeah.
And so I spent a lot of time trying to change that perception of like what the profession is actually about. Right. And then a lot of people want to know, what are the most important skills you need to be successful in public relations? And I mean, you might disagree with me, but the two that I always say are media relations skills and writing skills. Yeah. Those are the two skills that, I care about most when I'm looking for, interns or people to come onto my team, and it's something that I think sets you apart in this industry.
Yeah, you're right. The ability to write well, short, to write short and smart, to relate to people and therefore the media. Yeah. And I always look for someone with a strategic mind who can not just see the press release in front of them, but what the goals are, what the overarching goals are for the clients. The question I always get asked in your class is, how much do you bill an hour? Yeah. Every single time.
They're kind of obsessed with that.
It's so strange.
And the question
it's a secret.
The question I get asked is, how much can I make?
Right. Yeah, and the answer is anywhere from what you would starting out to unlimited.
Yeah, and every industry is very different. Every union, non-union is very different. Agency versus non-agency is different. So literally, it can be between a starting salary of $25,000 to a starting salary of $70,000, depending on where you land.
Right. Exactly.
And your skills and experience before you get into the industry.
Yeah. True. And there's a whole range of those in your classes at SFU. I'm always amazed by the talent in the room. So I'm excited for the future of public relations when I see some of your students, the questions that they ask and how engaged they are, for sure.
Aw, thanks,
awesome.
Paul.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Well, and thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Public Relations Today.